the Boston Celtics. Up 2-0 in the NBA Finals. And headed close to us, Braden, to Dallas. Halfway to the NBA title. Now a team that is 78-20 will need to lose 4 of the next 5 games to not win the title. Possible. It's happened.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
The Phoenix Suns were up 2-0 against
That's true.
Milwaukee Bucks a couple years
That's true.
ago.
They win both those on the road? No. Game 6 was Milwaukee.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's happened. In fact, the last time Dallas was in an NBA Finals, that was 2-0. The team that was behind came back and won 4 straight. That was Miami in 2006. So if we have like a historic Luka whistle in Game 3, which is possible, that could spark the thing. You ever seen that highlights from that Game 3 in 2006? This, I forget the name of the ref. Everyone in Dallas knows who he is. He just sent Dwayne Wade to the line just time after time after time. But the Celtics did not even play well, really, on Sunday night. I would give it like a C+, B-, and still won and covered.
Yeah, Tatum had 2 points at halftime?
I mean, it might have been a little better, but it wasn't like he did not have a good game. He didn't have a good game at all, really. No. And I thought he was decent enough in Game 1, even going 6 for 16. And look, Tatum made some plays out there. He was actually 1 rebound shy of a triple-double, which kind of shows you how hollow triple-doubles can be, especially in today's NBA. But I think he tied the record held by John Stockton for assists in a quarter in the finals. He had 7 or 8 assists in that second quarter. So look, I'm not trying to say, Tatum was actually good. He made some plays, but no, he was not good out there. And I think he's admitted as much. And this was a game that is so rare in today's NBA, especially in the finals, this deep in the playoffs, that I was saying in the middle of that second half, I was like, the team basketball thing is great, and I think it's a little overrated to say, one player needs to take over the game every time. I think that's a little outplayed, but it did feel like, all right, we need someone to, 3 or 4 straight baskets or 2 straight baskets and a block in there. Someone needs to kind of go on a stretch for 5 or 6 minutes where they're the guy. And it didn't really happen. Drew Holiday was the closest, who might be the MVP of the series. If it ended right now. He was terrific in Game 1, kind of unsung, and was awesome in that game on Sunday night. 26 points, 11 boards, 0 turnovers. Bang.
And at some point...
think of where this team would be with Marcus Smart. They would have been in a 6-game series with the Pacers if Marcus Smart was here instead of Drew Holiday. No doubt. He took over those games in Indiana, Holiday, games 3 and 4. He was terrific. I think he had a great game, too, as well. Smart would have been throwing up wild shots, taking them out of their offense, committing stupid fouls, turning the ball over late in the game. Drew Holiday does the opposite of that. He takes smart shots, he scores, and he turns them over at the end of games. So I think he is the biggest difference from this team last year. I know Porzingis is obviously the huge mismatch, had a massive Game 1, but Drew Holiday has been making plays in this postseason that Marcus Smart would mess up. He just would. And I loved what Smart gave to the Celtics for all those years, but this is such an upgrade to have a Drew Holiday in there, I think.
Yeah, and going back to Kristaps Porzingis.
Yes.
Kristaps, of course, had that great Game 1.
Yeah.
He had a decent Game 2, I would say.
Yeah, more defensive.
And I am rooting for y'all, for the Celtics, just because I'm morally opposed to ever rooting for a Dallas team. And there was a point, was it the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, where Kristaps, he hurt his leg again.
For sure.
And
thankfully, I think it might have been his ankle rather than his calf.
Okay.
I think. I mean, that's just me looking at the replay, Dr. Stu here. It was, and if it is the ankle, that's easier to shoot up.
Right.
A muscle injury, you can't do that. But anyway, yes, it did happen, and he was out there a couple possessions.
Right, and I was getting concerned because the Mavericks are starting to go on a little bit of a run. There's one play in particular, I forget who it was. It might have been Daniel Gafford, who like
Yeah.
he dunked on Porzingis, and I was like,
yes,
uh-oh,
and then
this
Kyrie beat him to the rim.
It's like, oh, this is gonna start going downhill real quickly. But luckily, Missoula called the timeout. I was like, get out of here, get out.
Dude, it was such a weird game because the Celtics did not close it out well. They were up 14 with 3.5 minutes left. Allow Dallas to go on this 9-0 run. They make the plays at the end. They get the block.
Right.
They get Jaylen Brown lefty layup, which was poetic. But it was not like a, man, look at how that team closed out. That's an all-time great team. But they did it. But they won by 7. They shot 26% from 3 and covered. This is supposed to be the game where they shoot 30% and they don't win. They're supposed to be one of those games in this series. You might have just had that at 26%. They were 10 of 39, and they won. And they led the whole second half. That's to me scary. That has been the most impressive, maybe, of the wins of their postseason. Because they did not have it offensively. Their best player did not have it. And yet they played incredible defense, minute 1 through 48. Kept the Mavs under 100 again, still shot a putrid 26% from 3, and won the game. Does that scare you, Braden?
I'm not scared, but Mavericks fans should be scared.
Like that was. I'm not going to say the only chance of the series, like I would have said with like Indiana, but that was a golden chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
To win a game on the road in the finals, take home court for whatever that's worth these days. I mean, both teams play really well on the road. And now, like we said at the top, now it's a 4 out of 5 you got to do.
Right.
That's a big, big difference, man. Big difference.
And Luka.
All the cliches in the world. That's huge. Yeah.
Luka had his 30-point triple-double. I mean, I feel bad for Luka. Even though he plays on a Dallas team,
Yeah.
I like Luka Doncic, man.
What makes you feel bad for him, though? I'm curious.
I don't know. You put in that much, and you still lose to a bad Celtics performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did also have 6 more turnovers than anyone else on the team, by the way.
Still 30-point triple-double.
Yeah. And he had 20 points in the first 14 minutes.
I did notice. I was like, he definitely.
I think he had 10 in the whole second half.
Yeah, he was en route to potentially like a legendary finals performance.
And that's not like a knock on Luka. It's not. I just want it like he had a triple double minus winning plays. I mean, he had the big and one. I think that ended up cutting it to 5, if I'm not mistaken, with just over a minute left.
Yeah,
that was a big play. Created some in the second half for the first time in this series, but overall, like, I think the Celtics have guarded him well. I think they've guarded Kyrie even better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing. Tatum has not been good. Kyrie has straight up sucked. Just sucked through 2 games. He is, oh boy. I mean, he's like 13 of 38, I think, 13 of 37 from the floor in this series. Hasn't hit a 3 yet. He scored 28 points in 2 games. He did have more assists in this game last night, but did it feel like it? Did it feel like he was setting guys up? Did it feel like Kyrie was creating? There's been no 4 or 5 minute stretch where you're like, golly, they cannot stop him. There hasn't been that.
Yeah.
Like, he genuinely does seem rattled by all this, which is crazy for a veteran who has won a title. He does seem rattled by all this.
He's just out there running cardio.
Yeah. Yeah. Dribbling to nowhere. Chalking up threes where it's like, I'm going to take over now, and clanked it again. And like, I see he's only got 2 turnovers in the game, but it's kind of like what I was saying about the Milwaukee series, his last series with the Celtics, where he just kind of gave up and quit on the team. And I'm not saying he's necessarily done that yet in this series, but you see only 2 turnovers, but how many of his shots were just turnovers?
Yeah.
How many of those shots? 6 or 7 seconds into the shot clock, trying to create something that's not there and taking a contested fade away. And like, that to me is just as good as a turnover. the way the Celtics were rebounding. So he has really sucked. And I don't know if you saw it, but he was like going down the tunnel after the game, and he had the fives up, like, we'll be back for game 5.
I didn't see
and
that.
I'm like, first off, that's likely. I mean,
Yeah.
that means you've won one game in the series, so congrats.
At home.
That's great. Yep. And it's like that's when I was saying he just can't help himself. He can't help himself. After game 1, he was dreadful, but he comes in and he was like, "Yeah, I thought the Garden would be louder." And now he comes out in game 2, he sucks again, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll be back for game 5." It's like, dude, you got to back this shit up at some point. You know what I mean? You've got to back this up. I know you've got a ring and you've got a huge shot into game 7 of the finals, and you have a great record in closeout games. I get that. But you can't keep talking all this shit and keep saying it's not getting to you when you're playing some of the worst playoff basketball of your career right now in these 2 games. You can't like, it's just so show me Kyrie. And for as much shit talk as Luka does, he's not doing that. Mm-hmm. He's having good games. And he's coming in and he's saying, that loss is on me. 2 games in a row he said that. It's just amazing because maybe that does wake Kyrie up and he has some big games in Dallas, but until he can do that in Boston, if I'm a Mavs fan, I'm like, stop talking shit. Just stop and back it up. He could go for 40 in this next game. He could.
Absolutely.
I can't get over the fact that the Celtics stunk shooting the 3 and still won the game. Like, that was Dallas's chance to me. Tatum stunk. They couldn't hit. No one could hit threes. 10 of 39. No one could hit threes. Mm-hmm. And they didn't make the plays. Granted, Celtics did make some big threes late.
Yes.
That Holiday one where he had a great steal or forced a steal for White. White hit a straightaway 3. Those were both in like the last 4 or 5 minutes. And the big one is Peyton Pritchard at the end of the third quarter. How about that? That running, basically midcourt banker. That was like the exact situation. Celtics fans in the mud will remember 2022. Jordan Poole did the same thing. Game 2 in Oakland, or maybe they were in San Francisco by then. End of the third quarter. Banks in a 3, and it was like, golly, that game's over. And that's what it felt like in this one. And then the Celtics go up 14 and only win by 7. But this Luka thing, when Kyrie stinks, it really makes them look like a one-man team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I was saying this in the game last night, watching it, I'm like, if Kyrie doesn't have it, what are their other options? What has P.J. Washington done in this series? Gafford had a good 5 or 6 minute stretch in that game. Derek Lively, I think, has put up 2 shots in this whole series. And none of them have had air under them. They've been dunks. Like, that's it, man. Like, who else do you go to? Sorry, Lively took 3 shots in this game. He's made 2 field goals in the 2 games. They're both dunks. Like, who else do you go to? When P.J. Washington's going to go 1 of 5 from 3, what else do you have, man? That was so key for Dallas. As much as you want to talk about, obviously Luka having a transcendent postseason, Kyrie with this renaissance through 3 rounds, and the defense has stepped up. The big thing for them was their role players on any given night could shoot like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. It was P.J. Washington, it was Derek Jones, and that opened some things up for Lively, and even Hardaway with some games off the bench. Like, they got nothing out of those guys in the first 2 games. Hardaway wasn't even he was a DNP CD in game 2. Like, we're giving Dante Exum his minutes. They are really looking like a 1.5 man team and a 2-man team if Kyrie is in it. And that leads me to my point of, I think they probably will win one of these 2 games and likely game 3 because I think those guys will go nuclear. But even if they do, even if they combine for 75, 80 points, right? You still probably need to have the Celtics to have an offensive game close to the one they just had.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's a gamble. Like that is a gamble. And Tatum doesn't have a good shooting night. I don't think Brown had that great an offensive game. Derek White didn't have a terrific offensive game, and Porzingis didn't have a great offensive game. But Drew Holiday did.
Yeah.
So it's like, fuck, man. If I can have their top 4 players, in essence, offensive players, not shoot well and not have a great game, and we're still not going to win, what is it going to take for the Mavs to win? Braden, what is it going to take for the Mavs to win?
I think I agree with you that they're probably going to win Game 3, and I would say the crowd, the Dallas home crowd, will probably have a lot to do with the Mavericks' success in Game 3.
I'm always hesitant to say finals crowds, even the Boston ones. You know why?
Because it's rich people.
It's $1,000 to get in the building.
Yeah.
Like how many real fans are in there? And you see it like the third quarter. You saw it in Boston, man, which is the best building in the league, I think. Like you see the third quarter, it's like 5 minutes in before everyone's into their seats. Like,
yeah,
it does suck, which raises a different point of I will not be able to afford to go to a finals game. If it's 3-0, I was telling our producer Zach this. If it's 3-0 going into a Friday night game in Dallas with a chance to sweep and clinch the title, I will be offering my kid to be outside the American Airlines Center. That'll happen. How much do you think I can get for that?
45.
$45?
No, 45,100. Yeah.
That could almost get me 2 seats.
Yeah.
Maybe. I was checking Game 6 before the series, just in case. It's $1,200 to get in the building. I've not checked it for Game 3 or 4. Braden, you want to go? You got that kind of coin?
I do not. No, my Baylor Lariat Memphis money is starting to run dry.
Oh no. Oh, that's too bad. What'd you think of the block?
I thought it was sick.
You think so?
I do.
You don't think there was a foul there?
No. Although people were unsure. Was it Jaylen Brown or was it because he was trying to claim credit for it? Or someone
who got the block?
Yeah.
I genuinely think you can credit both of them with the block.
Yeah.
I think White gets his hand on it first. Mm-hmm. And we don't get a great angle of it, but I think White hits the ball kind of loose and Brown kind of knocks it away. It off.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
I think you did.
So that was just under a minute left. 5-point game. This would have made it a 3-point game or if free throws. Granted, Dallas was terrible from the free throw line. At one point, they were shooting 40% or so. So not like a nailed on. They're going to make both, but it could have been. I'm trying to find their free throw number here. ESPN doesn't have it. Sick. It could have been a 2-point or a 3-point game.
Right.
Out of that. I thought at the time it was clean because I thought they were really letting them play last night. I thought it was nice how physical the game was. And at first I thought they were saying, oh, it's a foul because Derek White got his hand. And it was funny because that was something that came up earlier in the game of hand is part of the ball if you're getting part of the ball. Now, the Mavs lost a challenge in the first quarter because they had that argument, but they got only, and I think it was Derek White actually, they got only his hand, not ball and the hand. Whereas White, that's what he did. So I was like, no, that's not a foul. And then I find out they thought it was on Brown pushing in the back. And you see it in slow motion, and you're like, whoa, how can they miss that? When you watch it in real time, and it's like, bro, there's no way they're calling that.
Yeah.
In a 5-point game at the end of the NBA Finals, like that's not getting called. When you watch it in real time, he's kind of got his hand on his back, kind of as he's going up. Like it's not a push. It clearly doesn't. I think it was Washington. It doesn't make PJ Washington move at all. It's not a foul. It's not a foul. I can understand the Mavs fans' gripe, and if it was the Celtics, I might have even changed my tune because it's one of those where it's like bang bang, man, I gotta have that because we're making a comeback here.
Yeah.
But to me, that is a good NBA Finals no call.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We are Rogue Media Sports.